Welcome to Unlocking Lore. Good evening, everybody. I am your host, Maria. And again, welcome to Unlocking Lore Live, the storytelling live stream in which we go dive deep into the world of story. So, tonight or this morning, depending on where you are in the world, I have a very, very special, very beautiful story in store for you. And I hope you will enjoy it as much as I do. This story comes back way, way, way beyond, like, this is a very old tale. And it's one very close to my heart because I enjoyed this when I was a little girl. So back in the day, I think everybody who is here remembers the cassettes, those obsolete things that we used to have, in which we would tape the stories or the voices of people. And I bet you guys always did this as well as I did. You would record your favorite songs off the radio so you can listen to them over and over again. So I had this story on a cassette, and I also had this story on a big huge poster where I would just lie down on the story. I would listen to the story while I would read this story along. So it's gonna be a good one. But today, before we do that, let's say hello to the people who are on with us. And of course, all the way down in the USA, it is my good friend, the Dunadan. Thank you so much. As always, you're always there, supporting the storytellers. This storyteller at least. And then all the way around the world, we have Sam Mathai. Good morning to you. I hope you are enjoying a good chai this morning. So this is the second time today someone mentioning about cassettes. Well, I don't know. It was just coincidence because I have not heard. I practically have not seen the internet this morning. Like during the day today, I have been so busy decorating the tree that we had just bought yesterday. In this case, this is a live tree we got in our house. So it was like, whoa, how do we do this? So the morning has been spent in all of that and decorating basically for Christmas, which is coming up. Christmas is coming up and we're all excited. And thankfully, you know what? I have a secret to say to you. I'm off this week. Yes, I'm off from work. This is so great because then I can enjoy Christmas, in a much more relaxed way. I know Christmas is super busy and everybody want to get like all their stuff done, but it's so nice to like just do all that stuff without the pressure of work. So, and yes, it is the season. So thank you for coming. This is a special episode. This story, I have told this story before. If you look on my previous episodes, you will see that it was one that I told way, way, way long ago, about 2 or 3 years ago when I just started off the live streamings, etc., etc. I used to do it again, like right now. I did it in my room. Then I also did it in my room, and then gradually I kind of built up a little bit more, and then I was able to find a good place and spot. Not that this is not great, but I I created a little studio also in my room back then. So I did not have StreamYard back then. I was doing it. I don't even remember where I was doing it, but it is a story that I have told before, and I'm not really sure if you guys have heard it. If you haven't, this is great. If you have, well, then enjoy it again, because you know what? Stories can go over and over and over again, and sometimes you can never get used to them. I know some people really enjoy tales like the tale of the tale of Mr. Fox. Tabitha loves that one, and other people like Soul Cages, etc. So this story is called East of the Sun and West of the Moon. It is a Norwegian tale, and in a nutshell, it's the story of a girl who makes a mistake and later goes on to seek redemption. So yeah, apart from being off this week or next week, you're gonna enjoy this. And we have memes. Memes is in the house. Thank you so much, memes. For coming in. So, without further ado, let's get into this. I give you today East of the Sun and West of the Moon. In a world where legends come back to life and magic is in the air, we gather around to listen and delve deep into the lore. This is Unlocking Lore. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a family, a very poor family that they were, but a happy one, very numerous, and each child was, wow, it was a striking beauty. They were all so beautiful, but the most beautiful of all was the youngest girl, and she was beloved by all her family members. However, the parents were always very, very, worried about their family situation and their poverty, and they couldn't dress their kids in other than, clean rags. And they lived in a very, very small hut, but it was a happy hut. Now, it was one day that it was raining outside, and con- amazingly enough, it was a Thursday that they heard a rap on the window. The father went and opened the door, and he was struck speechless when he saw outside a great white bear. And he was even more confounded when he heard the bear say, "Good evening, sir. I've come to make a proposal to you." "Oh, well, what proposal could that be, Mr. White Bear?" "I've come to ask for your youngest daughter to be my bride. And in return, I will give you wealth and riches far beyond your wildest dreams. You will lack for nothing. You will have servants. You will have food. You will have everything your family needs." "Oh," said the father. "Well, I don't know if I can do this." And the father wasn't exactly very thrilled to give his youngest daughter, the one he most loved, to the bear, but he was very tempted, with the promise of riches. So he said to the bear, Wait a minute outside, and I'll go ask her." So inside went the father to look for his wife, and they both went to the youngest daughter and proposed what the white bear had said, for her to go and leave with him to be his bride. Well, at the beginning, the girl obviously said, "No, I won't do it." She said, "I don't want to leave you. You're my family." But the father and mother said, "But imagine what you can do for us, the riches that we'll have. And if we become rich, what will you be? You'll be dressed as a queen. You will lack for nothing." But the girl was very persistent in saying, "No, no, no, I do not want to wish to go with the bear." So the father went outside, and he said to the bear, I'm very sorry, but well, she doesn't want to go with you. She's scared. But I'll tell you what. You come back next week at the same hour, same day, and we'll talk to her. I'm pretty sure she'll accept that." So the white bear agreed. He bid his farewell and then he left. And that week, oh boy, the family was all over the poor girl. They insisted, they begged, they pleaded. And at the beginning she didn't want to, but well, you know how it is. How family, when they persist and they persist, they wear you down, and so they did until finally she accepted. The day prior for the bear to come, she washed her all her belongings, her rags, and put it inside a little bundle. All her worldly possessions were in there. And so the next day in the evening again, there was a rap on the window. And the father went out, and there was the great white bear. And behind the father was the young girl, very, very sad, but accepting the fate that she would be helping her family. And so the family bid farewell to the young girl, and she went to the bear. The bear looked at her and said, "Are you afraid?" The girl stood up straight and said, "No, I am not." "Good. There is nothing to be afraid of. Climb on my back." And so she did. She grabbed onto the soft white fur and up she went. And off they went. And they walked long and far over hills and forests. They passed a beautiful lake until finally they walked all night until dawn. And then the great white bear came up to the bottom of a steep cliff. And then the girl looked left and right, thinking that where would they go? But the bear went straight to the cliff, and he tapped it on the nose. And there the cliff, as if it were a door, opened to the inside. And beyond that was another beautiful country with rich green grass and green trees. And far beyond, on a hill, was a beautiful castle. That's where the bear lived. And they walked and walked and walked into that place until finally they went inside the castle. And what a beautiful castle it was! It was filled with gold and marble and silver and jewels. Indeed, the bear was rich. And when they were inside, she got off the bear and she started looking around at such great beauty. And the bear looked at her and said, "This is now your home. Whatever you need, all you have to do is ask." And the bear gave her a little bell, a little silver bell. And he said, "Here, take this. If you ever need anything, just ring it, and it will appear to you." And with that, the bear said his goodbyes and left the girl. Now she was all alone in a new place. What would she do? Well, the first thing that she thought was that she was very hungry. So she decided to go to look for the dinner table. But where would she go? So many rooms, so many doors. So she took the little bell and ringed it. And whoosh! All of a sudden, she was taken to a new room where there was a long, large dining table, and it was full of the most delicious food you could possibly imagine. There was turkey, there was other birds and fowls, and rich puddings and fruit and vegetables. and all of it was so hot and it smelled so good. Well, the girl, you could say that she dug in and she started to eat everything that she could possibly, that she possibly could. And you know what happens when you have a really hearty meal? Well, you get sleepy. And after a long night's journey, she was sleepy. And now that she was full, she was double. So again, she took the silver bell and she rang it. And whoosh, again, she was taken to a beautiful bedroom where there was a beautiful bed, a canopy bed. And on that bed was another gorgeous pajama, you could say. Yes, her sleeping garments. So she looked around, she found a bathroom where there was a tub. She filled the tub with hot water, and oh, how that bath was so nice. And after she had scrubbed down and was clean, she put on her beautiful garments. And when she went inside the bedroom, she found that her rags had disappeared, and instead were beautiful dresses, ready to be put on the next day. So she went inside her bed, she tucked herself in, she was warm, she was comfortable, and she fell asleep. Now, in the middle of the night, because she was very, very sleepy and very tired, she didn't notice. But her door opened, and in came someone, a man, who came up to her bed, saw her sleeping. The moonlight was shape was on her face. And then he laid down right beside her. She didn't notice. And before dawn, the man got up and left. The next day, she woke up rested and refreshed. She put on her beautiful clothes, her new dresses, and she did look like a queen. And she rang the little bell and she was taken down to the breakfast table, where she again had a very delicious meal. And out she went. She wanted to go out to the gardens and look around the castle, and so she did. At midday, she asked for her meal, and the bear was there to accompany her. She only stayed a while and had a nice talk, and then he left. And in the afternoon, basically, it happened the same. And in the evening, she went to her bed. Again, she put on her beautiful clothes, tucked in, and lay down to sleep. Now, she wasn't as tired as the night before. So around midnight, she heard again. She heard that door open, for again the man came in. Now, this time, as she heard him, she didn't want to surprise him, so she just, you know, kept still. And the man came and again sat down on her bed and lay down right beside her. He didn't touch her. And even though she was a bit nervous for a stranger to come into her bed, you don't know, you know how you have a gut feeling that these people are good or these people are bad? Well, she had this. She had a feeling that this man was a good man, that he would not harm her. But she didn't stir. And then she felt how his breathing began to become even, and then he had fallen asleep. She wanted to see who it was, so she turned around, but it was too dark. She couldn't see him. So she gave up and fell asleep. Before dawn, the man got up and he left. She didn't feel him. And when she rose, she opened her eyes, expecting to see the man, and she saw nothing. Strange, she said. And so the days went by, The bear was there to accompany her during her day, and sometimes they would walk the gardens together. And well, she had a very, very pleasant time. But well, you know where it is when you come to a new place and you're with a, even though you like the stranger, but he is a stranger, he's not your family. She started feeling nostalgic, and the weeks went by, and a couple of months, and she started to get sadder and sadder because she was missing her family. And the bear started to notice until one day during dinner time, while he was accompanying her, he said, "Are you all right?" "Well, yes," she said, the girl. "I am, but it's all right." "No, you seem sad. Are you lacking anything?" "Well, it's just I miss my family," she said. I've never been apart from them this long. You must understand." And the bear said, "Yes, I do understand." "Well, if you'd like, I can take you to them," he said. "Would you?" said the girl, excited. "What, can I see them?" "Yes, you may, but you must promise me one thing. You must promise me never to have your mother take you into the room by yourself and talk to you and ask you questions. If you do, there will be something very bad that will happen." Well, the girl thought, well, it's just one day. I can stick with my family. Yes. So she promised. She gave her word that she would not allow her mother to, take her aside and start asking her questions about her life here. So the bear said, "Very well. Tomorrow I will take you." And so he did. The next morning, the girl got up onto the soft bear's back. It was soft as fur. And off they went. They came to a wall, and that opened up, and it was the cliff. And off they went, and you know, they walked far, far, far across rivers and across beside a lake and through forests and up and over hills until finally they came to a huge mansion. And the girl thought, well, who could possibly live here? And the bear said, "Your family lives here." "My family?" said the girl. "Yes, I promised them riches, and that's what I gave them." So she got down off the bear and she ran up and she knocked the door, and it was opened by a servant who obviously didn't know her, but let her in nonetheless. And down the stairs came the father and the mother when they heard her voice, and oh, there was such joy at encountering her. Her brothers and her sisters all came and thanked her for her generosity for being with the bear. But before the bear left, he looked at her and kind of reminded her of her promise. And she tried. She tried her best. And the mother would try to get, her best to get her into a room. But the girl scurried around and tried, until finally persistence wears down. And again, the mother was able to grab hold of the girl and take her into a room by themselves and ask, "So, how is your new life with the bear?" "Oh, it's lovely. It's wonderful. The days pass by and doing, different things, and obviously he's a such a wonderful bear. He's almost as kind as the man is." "Oh," the mother said, "Man? What man?" "Oh, nothing. You've seen a man." And the girl, "Well, no, I haven't seen him, but there's a man who comes into my room every night, and well, he just sleeps with me on the bed. And have you ever thought that it might be a troll?" "A troll? No. He's a good man. I can feel it. He doesn't touch me. He just Sleeps. That's all he does. And the mother said, well, did you see him? And no, it's too dark. I can't see him. So the mother got up and went to her drawer and took out a wax candle, a tallow candle, and he gave to the girl and said, hide this. And at night, when he's sleeping, light up the candle and see his face. You never know. You might be sleeping with a troll. The girl did not want it. Take the candle. No, I shouldn't. Take it. So she did. She took the candle. She hid it in her dress. And out she went. And in the evening, the bear came for her. Said, are you ready? She said yes. She bid her family farewell with hugs and kisses and promises that she would come back. And she got onto the bear, grabbing onto his soft fur. And off she went. While on the journey, the bear asked, did you keep your promise? I can't lie to you, said the girl. I didn't. I wasn't able to. She got me. And did you tell her of your life there? Yes, I did, said the girl. Then you are in grave danger. Whatever advice she gave to you, don't listen to it. You're well, you're safe, you're well taken care of. If you follow her advice, there will be a great punishment for the both of us. The girl agreed, but you know how it is when curiosity gets a hold of you. So that night, again, the girl tucked herself in. Again, in the middle of the night, the man came into her room and put himself on top of the sheets and started to sleep. When she finally felt that he was sleeping evenly in a very, very deep sleep, she got up. She took out a candle. She was very curious as to see who had been sleeping with her for these months. She very stealthily turned on the candle and shined it upon the face of the most beautiful, most handsome man that she had ever seen. So handsome, so good, that she immediately fell in love with him as well. And so was her love that she couldn't resist to give him a kiss on the forehead. So she leaned down and with the candle, by accident, dropped 3 drops of tallow onto the shirt. And before she could even give that kiss, that tallow had woken up the man. And they both looked at each other. And the man said, why? Why did you do this? I was so close, he said. You have ruined everything. And the girl said, but why? What's going on? All of a sudden, the lights turned on in her room. Yes, I am a man. And I am the white bear. And I was accursed. You see, I am a prince, he said. And my father, when he had to remarry, he married a witch who hated me so much. She placed a curse on me that I had to be a white bear during the day and a man at night. And if I could find a girl who was innocent and pure of heart, who would live with me as a white bear, for a year, only a year, then the spell would be broken. But now, because you did not believe me, you did not trust me, the curse will be fulfilled. Now I must go to my stepmother, and now I have to marry her daughter, who is a troll with a nose that is 3 ells long. And the girl couldn't believe her ears when she heard this story. She got down to her knees and started crying and saying, "No, but we can stop this." "No," he said, "for you don't know where it is. I must go to the castle now that lies east of the sun and west of the moon." And the girl wept and cried and begged and pleaded for him not to go, until finally she fell asleep and he disappeared. When she woke up, she was no longer in a castle but in a forest, and her clothes were now the tattered rags that she had brought with her, and beside her was her bundle with all the possessions that she had in the world. And she said, "I will find this castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon." And so she got on with her quest. And she started walking far and far and far and far from one country to another until she wore out 3 pairs of shoes. She was so weary that she would almost give up when all far away she saw a cliff, and on that cliff was a cottage, and there was a woman, an old woman. So she went to the woman, and the woman was just playing around with a golden apple, tossing it up and down and up and down. "Good afternoon, ma'am." "Good afternoon. Oh, and how much you be?" "Please, do you know where the castle of east of the sun and west of the moon lies?" "Oh, oh, oh, you must be the bride of the prince, the true bride." "You know it, yes, I am she." "Oh, that's very terrible. What became of the prince?" "Well, I don't know. I'm sorry. But perhaps my neighbor knows. She's wiser than I am." And the girl thanked her and said, "Where was the neighbor?" And she said, "Oh, it's far, far away, but don't worry, I can help you." So the woman took out her horse and said, "Well, take my horse and you get up, and he'll take you to my neighbor. But I will ask you to pat it on the left side of its ear, and he'll come back to me. Oh, and you know what? For good measure, here, I give you this." And so she gave her the golden apple. The girl thanked her, put the golden apple into the bundle of things that she had, and off she went. She got onto the horse, and off they went, and they galloped all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, until finally they found another cliff, and there was another hut, and there, sitting outside, was an even older woman who was, carding with a golden card to the wool there. And she was working and working and working and working, and the girl went up. She got off the horse, patted it on the left side, and off the horse went back to its owner. She went up to the old woman who was carding wool, and he said, "Good afternoon, ma'am. I was told that you knew where the castle that lays east of the sun and west of the moon." And the old woman looked up and said, "Oh, perhaps you are the bride for the prince, the true bride." "Yes, I am she said. "Well, I'm sorry. No, I don't know where the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon is, but, I think my neighbor knows. She is much wiser than I am. So, I'll help you. So again, the second old woman took out her horse and said, Take my horse, it'll take you. And here, for good measure." And she gave the girl the golden card, which is a comb, that you use to, you know, lengthen out, well, and soften it. And so the girl thanked her. She got on her horse, and the old woman said, "Just pat it on the left ear, and it will come back to me. Thank you very much." And off they went, and they galloped and galloped and galloped all the way to another cliff where there was another hut, and there was even an older woman bent down with a golden spinning wheel. And she was spinning and spinning and spinning. Well, the girl got off the horse, patted it on the left ear, and off it went. She went to the old woman, and said, "Good evening. I'm I'm wondering if you knew where east of the sun and west of the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon is." And the old woman was so bent that she could almost not get up. And oh, well, perhaps you are the bride, the true bride of the prince. Oh, terrible curse of the prince. "Yes, I am she said, "and I have made a mistake." Mhm. "Well, I'm sorry, I don't know where the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon is, but um, I do know someone who could possibly know. He's my good friend, the East Wind." And the woman slowly got up and went out and took her horse. And he said, "Well, take my horse. He'll take you to the house of the East Wind. He may know. He's been traveling far, and just pat it on the left side of the ear, and then on his left ear, he'll come back to me. And for good measure, here, I'll give you this." And she gave her the golden spinning wheel. So the girl put it inside her bundles and thanked her, got onto the horse, and off they went. And they galloped and they galloped and galloped all across hills and valleys and forests, and until finally they came to a nice house. And the girl thought, "Oh, well, the East Wind must live here." So she got off the horse, patted it on the left ear, and the horse turned around and left back for its owner. And she went up and knocked on the door. "Yes, who's there?" "Good afternoon. I I've come to ask you something." And the door opened, and there stood the East Wind and said, "Yes, what is it?" "I'm wondering if you know where the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon is." "Huh, are you the one who is to truly marry the prince?" "Yes, I am she," said the girl. "I'm sorry, I don't know, but I think my brother, the West Wind, must know. Oh, climb up on my back. Well, I'll take you there." So she did. She grabbed her things with the golden apple, the golden card, and the golden spinning wheel, put it on her back, got onto the West Wind's back, and off they went. And they flew till they found another house, a little bit bigger. And the East Wind looked up and said, "Oh, you can see that it's a little bit bigger. Yes, my brother is stronger, and he needs a bigger house than I do." And when they arrived, they knocked on the door, and it opened, and the West Wind was there. "Yes, brother, what are you doing here?" And the East Wind said, "Well, this girl, this girl is looking for the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. Would you happen to know where it is?" And the West Wind looked at the girl and said, "Huh, so she's the true bride? Well, I'm sorry, but I don't know where the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon is. Perhaps our brother, the South Wind, may know. Well, you go on home. I'll take her there." Climb up on my back. So she did. She climbed up onto the west wind's back. And off they went. And they flew over to a new house where it was a bigger house. And she assumed it was like, well, if he's bigger, then he needs a bigger house. So the wind gone down. They knocked on the door and they opened the door, and it was a bigger individual there and said, "Yes, brother, what are you doing here?" "Oh, yes, brother. This girl is, well, she's actually the true bride of the prince, and she's looking for the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. Do you know where it is?" "Oh, no, 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 I've never flew that far. But I think our brother the North Wind, uh, he has gone that far. I'll take the girl there. You go on home. Climb up on my back," he said. And so she did. Again, she climbed up onto the South Wind's back, and then off they went. And they flew over valleys and forests and rivers and lakes until finally found a huge mansion. And the South Wind got down and knocked on the door, and there was a booming voice. "Who is it?" And then the door opened, and this massive man was there. "Brother, what are you doing here?" "Ha ha, brother! It's so great to see you. I've brought with me the girl who was to be the prince's true bride. She is looking for the castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. Have you been there?" Huh. "Yes, I have." And the girl's eyes lit up. "You have?" "Yes. I once blew an aspen leaf there, but after I did, I was left without a breath for several days." And the girl looked up to the north wind with eyes of hope and saying, "Please take me. The prince is to be married to a troll that has a nose that is 3 ells long." "Ha ha, yes. Princess Longnose. I know her. If you don't know what an ell is, it's about a meter and 15, so that would be 4 yards. Let's put it 4 yards. So that would be 12 yards. A nose that is 12 yards. Not a pretty sight." "Well, all right," said the North Wind. "I'll take you there. But you'll have to allow me to rest for a while." So she did. She stayed with the North Wind in his house for a couple of days, until finally the North Wind was ready. She climbed up on his back, and off they went. But they didn't go through valleys and forests and rivers. No, they started to blow over the long, big ocean. And they flew and they flew and they flew, but not just a day, but he flew all day and all night, 2 days, 2 nights. And the north wind kept blowing, but as they were getting closer, she could see that he was getting weaker and weaker. Until finally, after several days, they looked up, and far beyond there was a tiny, tiny speck of land. And the north wind, who was almost out of breath, said, "There it is. There's the land where there's a castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon." Until finally, she landed. And the north wind was so out of breath that he left her to go seek his own repose and rest. And now it was her job to go to the castle. So off she went and walked and walked and walked until finally she arrived at the castle. But she didn't know how she was going to get in. Hmm. She looked at her bundles and she saw the three objects. Hmm. And an idea started to form in her mind. Bright and early the next morning, she stood right beside a window and she grabbed the golden apple and she started to toss it up and down and up and down and up and down. Now, it is known that trolls not only collect, handsome individuals, but jewels and gold and anything that shines, they want it and they are so greedy. That golden apple shone so beautifully that there were a couple of greedy pair of eyes looking through the window. And all of a sudden, the window was opened, and out came the longest, ugly nose that you could possibly imagine. Princess Longnose. You there? Said the princess. What is it that you want for that golden apple? The girl said, It's not for sale, but I can make a bargain with you. Oh, well, tell me, said the princess. I want a night, one night, with your fiancé. Oh, my prince, she said. And the girl kept tossing up and down and up and down and up and down that golden apple, and oh, those eyes went up and down and well, agreed, said the princess. Very well. Tonight you'll open the door, and I will give you the apple, she said. Fine. But for good measure, the girl always had the apple in her hand during the day. At night, she went to the castle door with the golden apple. The Princess Longnose opened it, and the girl gave the apple to her. And she went inside, and indeed, she found the prince. But oh, what what is this? She found him asleep on the bed, and she tried to wake him up. And she started to cry and say, Wake up, it's me. But nothing would wake him up because the princess had a plan of her own. And during the day, she had given him a sleeping potion so as he would not wake, not even for an earthquake. But the girl kept trying and trying and trying until dawn. And then when finally dawn came, in came the princess with the guards, throw her out! And so she was thrown out of the castle. But she was not to give up. The girl again went to the window, and then she took out the golden card, the comb, and she started to comb her beautiful hair with it. Again, there were some greedy eyes looking through that window. She opened it. You girl, what do you want for that golden card? It's not for sale, said the girl while she was using it. But I will negotiate. Give me a night with your fiancé, and I'll give you this golden card. Well, all right, said the princess, and she shut the window. Inside, the girl went in the evening to when the doors opened, and she gave the golden card to the princess. And off she went again to find the prince, and hopefully he would be awake this time. And no, he couldn't. He wasn't awake, and she shook him, and he pleaded, and she cried, and she kissed him, and she pinched him. Nothing could awake the prince until finally at dawn, the princess came and threw her out again. Now the girl knew that she only had one final object to which with which to, save her prince. So she went to the window. She took out the golden spinning wheel and started to play with it. Even though she didn't have any yarn, she would use it and she would make it, spin. And oh, how shiny it was. And again, those greedy eyes at the window looked at her and said, I want that. So open again the window, the nose came out. He said, what do you want for that golden spinning wheel? It's not for sale. A night with your fiance is all I ask. Fine, she said the princess, and she closed the window. At night, the doors opened, and even though the girl was very desperate, she did not lose hope that perhaps by some miracle the prince would be awake. She gave the golden spinning wheel, her last object, to the princess, and off she went. She opened the door, she closed the door, she saw him there, asleep, and her heart felt as if it was a rock falling. And he grabbed her hand and said, I wish you were awake. And if by some miracle his eyes opened, and he said, I am awake. For you see, what happened is that, like I said before, trolls collect not only beautiful things, but also happy people, women, children, men. And during that day, before the evening, the prince was walking around because he was awake during the day. It was at night when he was used as, had drank the potion, and he heard, how the men and women talked about a girl who would cry all night asking for the prince and to say that she was the true bride. And he knew that something was going on. So that night, he did not drink the potion that the princess had given him. So he was able to stay awake. And thankfully, because he said, thank goodness that you were awake, that I was awake, and that you came. For tomorrow is my wedding day. And I was to marry the Princess Longnose. But now I do have a plan. Do you remember that shirt that you dropped with 3 drops of tallow? That shirt is magical. It can only be cleaned by a pure heart. So I will ask them to clean it. And the person who cleans it will be my bride. And so they planned everything together. And before dawn, he came in. He went into bed again. He closed his eyes, and she tried and tried to wake him up. And in came the princess, snickering and, very happy that her plan had worked. And she threw the girl out. That morning, the prince said, well, it is our wedding day, Princess Longnose. And who was there but also the stepmother said, yes, you shall marry my daughter, and everything will be well. Well, actually, I plan to use this shirt of mine, but for our wedding day, it is a very, very special shirt. So I need somebody to clean it. So my condition is this: whoever can clean it will be my wife, said the princess. Well, I can do that. So she grabbed the shirt and put it into water with soap, and she started scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. But amazingly enough, the 3 stains began to grow. Well, you're no good. If you can't do this simple thing, how can you possibly take care of me for the rest of my life? Said the prince. Out of the way, said the mother. She grabbed the shirt and she put it in again to the water with soap, and she scrubbed it, she scrubbed it, scrubbed it, and now the shirt was not only with 3 spots, but it was completely turned black. You 2 are useless, said the prince. And he looked out the window and said, I bet that girl right there can do it. And it was the girl. Let her in, said the prince. So they let her in, and she grabbed the shirt, and as soon as the shirt was put into the water, it became as white as snow. Now, the Princess Longnose, who was not only greedy but super prideful, was so angry, that she burst in her own fury, and the wicked queen saw how her daughter had also burst and was angry, and she also burst. But with that came also the destruction of their magic. And so the castle started to crumble. So the prince and the girl came out, and they freed all the prisoners from there, and they all came out. And the castle started to crumble into rubble, basically. There was nothing left. The prince and the girl looked at each other. They hugged each other, finally being together. They looked at what was left of the castle, and they turned around, forever leaving it, to be together forever. They asked the north wind to take them back, which he did. And they never saw again, and they never heard ever again of the castle or its occupants. That a castle that lies east of the sun and west of the moon. Now, did they live happily ever after? I'll leave that to you. Well, thank you so much for sticking out for so long. It is a very long story, but I hope you have felt it not as long as I. I never feel it very long, but I do realize by looking at the hour, it's like, whoa, this is a very long tale. Well, thank you very much for sticking around. Um, I I'm I'm so hilarious. It's so hilarious the comments that you guys put during the stories. Yes, the that's a very long honker. I can imagine when she had a runny nose, you know, like 12 yards of nose. That's very disgusting. But yes, well, thank you very much. Yes. And also, who's here? Oh, this is my beautiful mother who has been listening to the story. She says, "Está bonito." She said, very nice in Spanish. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Sam. It is a great story. I hope you enjoyed the telling of it. As you know, each storyteller is different from the previous ones. And each time I tell it, there is some sort of detail or some sort of a gesture or a thing that does change. It just keeps adding. There's so much detail. So yes, it is a cliffhanger, so I will leave it to you guys to decide whether or not they lived happily ever after. I will decide that yes, they did, with their ups and downs of marriages, like all of them, but still very, very happily. And thank you so much, Sam. Your voice acting on this story was exceptional. Thank you. This is actually a practice round. I thank you for being my little guinea pigs. I will be performing this story in my upcoming live performance for the Toronto Public Library. That is on the 30th of December. It is my first paid gig and my first live performance here in Canada. So I am really excited. I do hope it goes well. I will be having an interesting crowd because a lot of my well, I will have family there, but also my work colleagues will be there, which is so fun. So as I don't know if you guys know, I do work right now. My day job is a receptionist at a financial at a financial company. I know nothing of finance, but I have been learning. It has been very, it has been a very steep learning curve, and the people there are really, really nice. It's a family-owned business, so they found out, well, because basically I started talking to them, telling them what I do and how I'm a performing artist, etc. And they one of them asked me to send a flyer to them for my upcoming performance, so I did. And basically what he did was, at the office, he actually printed out several copies of the flyer without me knowing it, and he started giving them to the employees there. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see my colleagues there, you know, my coworkers, and possibly one of my bosses, to going to the performance. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But yes, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, memes. Actually, that's very encouraging, because I have it has been quite some time since I've been able to do storytelling. And as you know, uh if you don't continue the art, if you don't practice the art, you do kind of get rusty. So thank you very much. Anyway, it has been an hour. This has been a very long tale. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I will be doing some more live streams at this hour. I think this is a time where I don't cross with any other of the great content creators, like After the Weekend or Dreaming Tabitha or Inside the Booth. As you guys know, we're all friends, and um, I like to give other people, you know, their spaces. You also have the Rogue Attraction with the '90s, you know, nostalgia on Thursday evenings. So I think this is a good time for a lot of people, although Sam might think differently. But anyway, thank you so much. I will be leaving this here, and I will be I will be, you know, stating another story within a couple of weeks, probably after the new year. So if I don't see you before then, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah if you do celebrate it. It had yesterday was the end of Happy Hanukkah. Um, and also a very, very happy new year. You will all be in my thoughts in this upcoming new year. Many blessings to all of you guys, and I will see you in the next one.